Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. For me, it's morning. And I've been musing on some things, just meditating and thinking about some things here this morning. And that led me to the title, Which God Do You Recognize? Those who have been following my videos for some time know that I have spoken about God and what I believe to be God's plan frequently over the past 5.5 years plus. Of course, I never considered Lucifer, who is also called the God of this world, to be God. Certain members of my family, especially one who has paid attention to my videos, is of the opinion that I am lost and I guess headed for hell. That's the mindset of my upbringing. That God is a jealous God. I never thought much about it, but something in that statement does not make sense. Why would an omnipotent and omniscient creator be jealous? That's a mark of insecurity, not confidence. The need to control, not simply to love unconditionally. This realization speaks loudly to me, although I should have seen it and accepted it a long time ago. It's that obvious. Most of the world has been led astray by the insecure wannabe God some call Lucifer, the founder of religion and the enemy of spirituality. As I said, I've been musing and pondering and thinking about these things, meditating on it here this morning. That after I woke up, it was a very restless night's sleep, and I slept a little bit here and a little bit there in segments because there's been a lot going on in my mind. I've been exposed to a lot of different ideas and looking at what's going on in the world and reading this and listening to that video. And I say reading, as I've said before, when I don't read now, I listen. I copy and let the computer read it to me. and I go and I get away from the computer, not all the time, but much of the time. I just simply lay down on the bed and listen. But this whole concept of God really is stirring my being here this morning with the realization that, like most people, I've been confused about the word God. What does it mean? Who does it refer to? What does it refer to? Some people say there is no God, that we're all God. And, there's all sorts of viewpoints and all sorts of ideas about divinity, if you will, that have been playing with the human consciousness, the human mind, the human awareness, all of our lives, and going back in history as far as we could possibly go. This concept of God has been part of the game. Now, when I read the Anastasia books, and I'm not talking about anybody other than the one that Vladimir Megra wrote about in the Ringing Cedars of Russia series. That's the Anastasia or Anastasia that I'm referring to, the recluse that grew up in the taiga, whose parents died when she was but an infant, and who was raised by her grandfather and great-grandfather and just had an intimate knowledge of God, what was demonstrated in her life by the fact that she could travel, she could dematerialize and rematerialize. She had gifts, talents, and abilities far beyond what we consider normal for human beings to have. And yet she seemed to have them. And Vladimir Megra was not, he was writing them as someone who was quite confounded by the whole thing and didn't understand it, and many times was on the opposite side from her because he had been trained, like most of us have been trained, to believe in a God that's a jealous God, a God that's limited, a God that's not all powerful, but powerless, and trying to hang on for dear life to the illusion of power that he wants to put on people. Now, I do believe that religion was created as a control mechanism. And I don't care what religion you want to call it, whether it's Eastern or Western or what, whether it's a major or a minor religion that we've never heard of, or one that you create for yourself. Religion binds. That's what it means. It means literally to bind. And binding means to imprison. It means to enslave. It means to put handcuffs on. It means to limit. It means to control. If you are bound, you are in the control of something else. That's not my God. I as I've pondered this today, and I realize that's not my God, but that's the God I was confused by most of my life. The jealous God, the insecure God, the God who needs to be in control of things. No, that's the wrong word. I love the God who doesn't need to be in control, who knows who he, she is, and recognizes truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, was something that was attributed, of course, to Jesus. And I love Jesus. I've loved Jesus my whole life. I've learned to love other messiahs, other Christs. I love Anastasia, the one Vladimir Megra wrote about in The Ringing Cedars of Russia, 9 books. I love that God that is simply loving. It's impossible to even come in contact with that God and not love that God, because that God allows you to be where you are and doesn't pass judgment on you, doesn't hit you over the head, doesn't beat you around and try to manipulate you and to get you to be something that you're not, and allows the process to just unfold step by step. That God that is the real, secure creator of all that is, allows his creation to become aware, to know, to really know. And know is now, we're using the intimate word, to know intimately. It's almost sexual in nature, but it's really spiritual. And sexuality is really spiritual too, by the way. Not fucking each other, however you want to do that. That's not loving. That's self-gratification, using sex as a gratification tool. And I don't know why I got off on that, but in any case, God is love. And if God is really love, if the Creator is really love, the Creator is not jealous. The Creator is not envious. The Creator does not need to control anything. The Creator simply allows, because love allows. And I don't know how this fits into my view of what's going on in the world, but we've been in the lap of deception all of our lives. We've been led astray all of our lives. And yet somewhere within and beyond and through all of this, there is a Creator who loves each of us unconditionally, regardless of our religion, regardless of what we do, right or wrong, good or bad. God simply loves, because that's the nature of the Creator. And I hope it becomes the obvious nature of creation itself. Anyway, thank you for listening and considering what I'm saying. And I hope you have a beautiful day, and may God bless you. Namaste.